Hello, this is Professor Bustillo-Booth, and this is the video tutorial for stages 4 and 5, which will complete the multi-stage project for the Secret Shopper activity for the class Business 101 Introduction to Business. So let's go ahead and get started. In this video tutorial, I'll quickly discuss the learning outcomes and then spend most of the time going through stages 4 and 5. We will use a form that is available to you through the assignment and then walk you through some of the remaining matters you'll need to attend to complete this learning activity. By now, you should be quite familiar with the learning outcomes. Again, we're observing a small business so that you can analyze its functions, particularly around operations, expressed through its customer service delivery, and we'll focus in on some of the elements of its marketing efforts. And then you will now present reports on the strengths and weaknesses of the business given your observation. Here again are the 5 stages to the Secret Shopper project. By now, you will have completed stages 1, 2, and 3, where you developed an industry analysis against the business of choice, and then also developed performance standards against which you then observed the business and wrote down your notations. So now you will take what you have and draft a report. You will include your observations here, as well as draft at least 3 findings and recommendations. You will then move to stage 5, the final phase of the project, where your final report will have included refinements against the kinds of feedback and recommendations that you receive from your peers and from myself, your instructor. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this form looks like. Before I access the assignment, it bears repeating that this video tutorial is for all of my Business 101 sections throughout the year. And so where the assignment may appear in this video tutorial may not be where it appear for your particular class. So you'll just need to make sure that you've scrolled through all the modules and all the other places that you can find the assignment, like grades or your to-do list, so that you understand when your assignment is due well in advance. So in this case, I'm going to go to modules because I know that this assignment is in week 9. So this would be stage 4. I put this in week 9. And so you can see here in week 9 that stage 4 is right here. I'll go ahead and also scroll to week 11 so you can see where stage 5 is, because this video tutorial is for both. Okay, and I'll go ahead and click back to, or scroll back up to week 9 so I can click on stage 4 and walk you through how to complete it. So of course, when you click that, you will get a lot of information about when it's due, its purpose, the kinds of skills and knowledge you will gain by completing this project, and then the list of instructions or steps that you'll need to be aware of to successfully complete this assignment. Now note that each stage may have a very, very different set of instructions. So don't assume just because you've gone through 3 stages that you know what the assignment instructions are, because these are each different stages using different forms and has a different set of instructions. So for example, right here below, checking out the rubric before proceeding, and of course you'll want to go make sure you check out the rubric before proceeding because this is how you will be assessed. Note that there is also a language use standard, and you'll need to attend to all of the language use matters like spelling, capitalization, grammar, and the like. Take a look at number 5 where it says copy your finalized SS3 into the SS3 observation, use this worksheet. And I'll show you how to do that. And that if you fail to do that, you will lose an automatic 7 points. Just like that. It'll just be gone. Okay, so you'll make sure you do that. And then it'll have a set of other instructions about completing, the different sections and how you'll draft at least 3 findings corresponding to 3 recommendations per category. And so for stage 4, you really are just drafting 3 findings and recommendations per category. You don't need to do all 5, just 3. I mean, you can do all 5, but you need to do at least 3, right? And then if you have, multiple locations, you'll want to make sure that, and you can only, do up to 2 locations, inclusive of the first one that you did, right? And so that if this will be at this stage, you can earn 5 points. And how you do that is because you will have included your observations in SS3, as well as discuss them in your recommendations, right? Of course, you want to spell check everything. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this Excel file looks like. Once you download the Excel file, make sure that you name it in a way where you can easily access the document or the file that you intend to submit. So it needs to say something like, secret shopper project stage 4, and then your name, or however it is you want to be able to identify that file that you intend to submit. I bring this up now because every quarter there's a number of students who will erroneously submit the wrong file, okay? And they'll recognize this fact after the deadline. And since this class does not take late work, that submission then is either a 0 or some reduced amount of points because what they submitted was an earlier version of the document they intended to submit. And I want you to understand that in the business world, there's something called soft deadlines and hard deadlines, or drop dead deadlines. And what this is a drop deadline. All right, this is a hard deadline. This is not your, oh, can you take a look at this and see what you think? No, this is your submission. And we expect this to be what you intended it to be, not some other form that you accidentally submitted. All right. And so, having said that, let's take a look at what this worksheet has. There are 3 tabs here at the bottom. The first one is SS3, which is your, and it should look familiar to you, right? You've done this in stage 3, and I'll walk you through here in a moment what to do here. And then the second tab is your stages 4 and 5. And so in stage 4, you will go ahead and fill out these sections. And then if you're wondering how to do that, you will go through this third tab, which will have the directions. So you'll want to make sure you read that. Okay, so let's do this step by step. For stage 4, you'll want to copy and paste your observation, your scorecard, right? What you had in stage 3. And the reason why you will include your stage 3 results here is that it will serve as a reference for stages 4 and 5. If you do not include that information in SS3, it'll make it very difficult to understand what it is being written here under findings and recommendations. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the instructions and how then to complete these findings and recommendations. And of course, you will fill out A and B as per instructions, and just go ahead and read the instructions here. And these are largely from stage 1. If you have come across additional information and since stage 1, you'll go ahead and just include that here. So industry information, key industry trends, customer insights, and the like. And then for analytical purpose, you'll just write what I have here in your own words, because that is what you're trying to do. And then same for methodology. Again, you will write the way in which, the process in which you completed this project, and you'll just write that in your own words here as well. All right, so I'll go ahead and scroll here to section 7, C and D, and note that for stage 4, you'll do at least 3 for each of these. You can do more, again, if you want, but only 3 is required for stage 4 to kind of, prime the pump, if you will. And you can see that you'll need to do that for all 5 sections. So let me give you some examples of how to do this, right? So here in findings, you will basically report what occurred in your scorecard. Okay, so in this case, for example, say the parking lot was poorly managed, scoring 2 of 5 in the Likert scale. If you remember back in several video tutorials ago, in my example, I gave the parking lot a particular score against a Likert, and so you'll want to make sure that you include that score right here, 2 of 5 Likert scale, right? And then to include your notations. They had several shopping carts and stalls, making it difficult to find parking, especially during busy hours. So you're basically combining what it is how you scored, how the company scored against your performance standard, and why they scored the way they did. That's what findings is about. Okay, and then you'll go scoot over to recommendations, and you'll have commonsensical things to recommend, right? Assign a staff member to check parking lot regularly every 30 minutes or so to ensure lot is free of carts and debris. Okay, and a lot of these are commonsensical recommendations from a customer perspective. All right, and so you don't have to rack your brain to figure out what to do. You generally have a sense of what a customer would expect, and then and you would also kind of look at it in terms of how a manager would then address that from an operational perspective. Like, how do we make sure that the parking lot is clean and free of debris? Oh, okay, I'll go ahead and assign people to do that. And so as a secret shopper, you might go ahead and recommend how you would proceed to improving the conditions. Now, some of you may say, well, I didn't have anything to improve for this, they scored a 5 and everything. Well, I tell you what, I've done many secret shopper activities, and I have never come across a company who scored straight across 5. Never. And why is that? Because there is always room for improvement. I mean, yes, they can score 5 here and there, but there's always room for improvement, right? And so, for example, if this particular performance standard was a 5, the parking lot was well managed, scoring a 5 out of 5 in the Likert scale, and there were no shopping carts in the stalls, and it was easy to park. All right, let's say that was your finding. And so you would still recommend up here that in order to keep the lot well maintained, recommend a system where there's regular, scoping of the parking lot to ensure that the stalls remain free of debris. You may not actually know that that's what they've done, but you can make that recommendation. Okay, and you can make that or other recommendations that is about maintenance, not so much about improvement, maintaining good customer service, and how you would do that. Okay, and so you can see here other examples of how you would do findings. Like in this case, employee greeting was acceptable, 3 out of 5 Likert on the Likert scale, and make sure you include the Likert scores. If you don't do that, you will lose points. Okay, this is just part of the reporting convention, is to write the Likert scale. And it says, with 1 or 4 available employees greeting me within 5 minutes. Of note, 2 of the employees near to me were preoccupied with personal conversation. You are basically, again, combining the scorecard as well as the notes. That's why it's so important to write the notes. Otherwise, it's very difficult to write your findings. Okay, and then you'll proceed, and then of course you'll write a recommendation here. And I made an example here of establish a norm to greet customers within 3 minutes, because it's my sense that 3 minutes is reasonable, right? And that at least 1 employee should be dedicated as greeter at the door. So that will help improve customer service and a sense of welcoming customers into the establishment. And that's an operational function, is to make sure that customers are well greeted, because that's part of the service delivery, right? So you'll just go through each of these categories and, come up with, develop your findings as well as your recommendations. If you're hard pressed to figure out what to recommend, you might go back to the business's reviews at Yelp or Facebook or Google reviews and take a look at what customers are saying. Customers may have ideas about how to solve this problem. In fact, a lot of great ideas come from customers. And so if you're hard pressed to figure out what to do, take a look at what customers are saying. It might surprise you with their solutions. And this is basically the same activity for stage 5. And you'll just basically complete all of the 5, observation or performance standards and your findings for each category. This is considered a professional document, and you'll want to make sure that you have reviewed this document for spelling, grammatical, capitalization errors, and the like. And how you would do that, if I can just go ahead and move this up so you can see, is that you would go up here and review and click spelling, and then just go in and correct. So here it says within, you want to change that. Near, I believe, was the word I wanted. And so I want to go back and say, near me, change. And so you'll just keep going until you get to the point where you have, checked everything, right? And I won't do everything here because I just wanted to show you how it's done. But you'll want to make sure that the document you submitted has been fully vetted to meet the rubric standards so that you can get optimal scoring. All right, I hope that was helpful to you. As with all other stages, stages 4 and 5 will also have their peer reviews. So just make sure you follow instructions and you will be fine. As before, if you need further guidance, please do reach out to me. I do want to help you. And you can reach out to me via Canvas, as well as set up an appointment with me so I can sit down with you and guide you through the process. Thank you for watching, and I will talk again with you soon.